we met because we are just a moment before the release of your next album. This is a fourth one, Karaoke Moon, as Warhaus, obviously. And it's only been 2 years since the release of the previous one, the Heartbreak record. You are a very, very active, hardworking musician, aren't you?
Well, I tend to disagree. I hear that a lot, but then I think like, yeah, I've written like 11 songs in 2 years. It's not hard work. That's not how I look at it. But it's what is true that it's I try to always keep on writing. You know, I never stop. Like it's like a machine that you need to get going. You know, so it's not like I wait till the tour is finished and then I start a new record. I just
it's ongoing.
Like even now we're waiting for the release, but I'm writing new songs. You know, so it never stops. And I think that's that's what I
like
try to
now?
do.
Thinking of melodies, thinking of lyrics.
Not during the interview, but like I took the train from Gdansk to Warsaw, and I worked a bit on music. Yeah.
So I heard that it's not only 11 songs, you know, in 2 years. It's more than this, isn't it?
Yeah, it's more. It's always more, a lot more, because you know it's actually what this job is all about is being okay with going to bed at night and having like a shitty job most of the time. I think like 19 out of 20 days you didn't do something worthwhile, you know, and that's something that can be quite tough, you know, for your self-reflection or something, but you get used to it. When I was younger, it was very, you know, depressing in a way, but when you're older you kind of see that it's part of the job, you know. As long as you put the hours in, it's you can be happy with yourself.
And is the album release like a physical or like mental release for you? Because I've heard that from many artists that, you know, you keep on working and working on the songs and everything, the artwork, everything around the album, and then once it's you know released, you feel like, okay, it's done, I cannot do anything about it, and
well,
finally.
I thought I was very relaxed about those things, you know, when I finish a record and then I'm like, yeah, I don't care what, you know, about the release, and I'm already with like, that's what I thought, but like turns out like the last weeks because I try not to drink alcohol that much anymore, but like the last weeks I'm very you know, there's something going on in my subconscious that is making me a little uneasy, and I think it's the release that it's approaching that makes me like on edge or something, because I went out way more than I normally do. I think there's some kind of nervousness about it, probably.
You know, just so relax, wind down.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
We have a couple of days until the release of the album, but do you feel like you've finished it? I mean, what I mean is that many artists tend to say that they like never really like finish the songs because you always can do something differently, or you know, many final versions before the release of the album, or before the final version.
No, it's very finished.
Okay.
I never worked on a record that long with Jasper, who plays in the band and who is my producer for one of my best friends for a very long time. And he's a very perfectionist. And for me, it needs to, you know, I want to get going. And I had like written all the songs like longer than a year ago. But then we took a lot of time in the studio for the production and finding the right arrangements, and like he's very, he did a super great job. It sounds amazing, I think. So I'm super proud of that, of his work. And but for me, it was a challenge in showing patience, because I get bored very, very fast. So there was even a
The
time
material?
that we were working on the record, and I was so bored that it wasn't going fast enough that I started writing like new songs when we were recording like these songs. So it's I'm very finished with it. It's
Okay.
but I'm looking forward to playing them live, and but it's gonna be like new versions and different style, different in different forms.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I wanted to actually get to this point, because a couple of months ago, during one of the festivals, I talked to a man you might know from the past. He now creates his music under the pseudonym J Bernard. So I'm sure you're familiar with the man.
Yeah, my bro.
And he told me that after the release of the album, when he goes on tour and plays the records, plays the new record, and I suppose it was the same with Balthazar Music when you guys toured together, that he learns the song all over again during the tour, because you see how the people react to certain songs. You sort of figure out what works, what doesn't work. How does it work with you?
Yeah, it's partly that, but it's also just for yourself to keep it exciting, I guess. Also, you're when I finish the record, it's like it's what you want the record to be at that moment in your life, but it's a very evolving thing. Your taste in music and your influences, so it's very organic. So. It just evolves. You want to challenge yourself, and especially live on stage, because you're playing the same show a lot of times, or the same songs. So you want to find some kind of improvisation and stuff like that within the band to keep it exciting night after night. So people can sense that something is happening in the moment that is like unique every show,
So one of the most important things in that process, like everything we've talked about, from creation of songs to recording and then working on a post-production, is having right people around you. And you actually mentioned the man himself that you work with, and I came to the conclusion, I don't know if it's correct, but reading about and learning about the process of this album creation, the Karaoke Moon, I thought that maybe this whole the story of like working on an album is also a story of like trusting people, because it's a process that is very personal. Everybody gets personal with the things that they create. So trusting and having right people and trusting them with the decision making, some critical decisions during the creation of the album, it's very important. And I feel like you guys have this in your dynamic. Working together for so long.
Definitely, and it's something you need to learn, because when I was younger, it was way harder to trust people. I was like, "Fuck off! You're not gonna touch my songs." Whereas now, obviously I've been working for a long time, but I'm much better at here's my song. You can do with it whatever you like, and because I make my own demos, but then Jasper rearranges it. Or, for example, now today I'm here with Thijs, who's gonna play the piano for me. And like with Thijs, I wrote some melodies and on previous songs. So it's just, I'm not a very good musician, actually. I just have some cool ideas sometimes.
Doesn't that make you a good musician?
Well, I watched Bob Dylan last week, and he played the piano the whole set. He's like 83, but he played the piano like a 5-year-old. It was not very good, I think. But I'm like, he wrote like, he's the most amazing songwriter ever, I think. So it doesn't matter. Like he
wrote all the songs.
Yeah, I'm very grateful that I have like all these great musicians around me. But still, I'm kind of the boss.
You are. That's it. Because if you treat it like a sort of like a company, like everybody has their job to, you don't have to be. And speaking of like being good or bad musician, you don't have to necessarily like know the music theory and be the virtuoso
Well,
to be.
yeah,
a
for
good
me, it was
musician?
always like just a way to write songs. Like I learned a chord on a guitar, and when I was 12, and then wrote my first song with that. And then I learned a different chord, and I was like, oh, now I can write a new song. And I never was interested in playing solos.
Punk rock attitude, right here.
Yeah, I was never interested in playing solos on a guitar or something. For me, it was always about the song. So yeah, everybody has his own.
That's your approach.
Folk.
So we have some great songs coming on the new album, and I hear a lot of very interesting influences. I know you at some point mentioned Sade as an sort of what you can hear from certain parts of the album. But what I hear, especially on the like No Surprises, the single, do I hear like Leonard Cohen in there?
I think, well, Leonard Cohen is one of my big heroes, definitely, along with Bob Dylan and Serge Gainsbourg, and I mean, I have a few like of the classic songwriters that have just really influenced me back when I was young. So they're definitely in my musical DNA. From this album, lots of people hear Nick Cave in it as well, which I can understand because the lyrics are very upfront. But yeah, I'm it's not like when you're in the studio, you don't really think about influence or let's do something like this or this. But obviously it all finds a way in your output, the music you listen to in your life.
So to keep you too long talking, so you can get to playing the thing that you love to do the most. I just wanted to ask you one last thing about the upcoming album, Karaoke Moon. If you could tell us what can we expect? I know it's a broad question, but maybe you have like an idea of what this album is that you can share at this point.
It's a very eclectic album. It's the most adventurous Warhaus record so far, I think. So it's really a trip. If you look at it like a movie or something, it's all based in the Warhaus world's atmosphere, but there are lots of different vibes passing by, and there's like a spoken word poem on there, and there's like a jazzy rant. There's a classical instrumental piece, so it's very I mean, we really pushed ourselves to, because I've made a lot of albums with like, here are 10 pop songs or whatever, like classical songs, and we wanted to push ourselves to try new stuff and get out of our comfort zone, and so, but then you need to make it fit all together, and so yeah, I hope people are going to check it out and spend time with it and drown in it, I guess.
And there you have it. Thank you very much. Thank you for talking to me. Thank you for coming to us and in just a minute playing for us. Maarten, Warhaus, thank you very much for
Thanks for having us.
speaking to me.